brief opening statement. Really pleased with the opening of camp. Obviously, different circumstances this year with the way we have to operate, with the number of practices and so on and so forth. A lot of things that are different, but really good first week. We had a good practice today. Able to put the shells on, the shoulder pads. So good long physical practice, and the guys still are getting days off in between. So I feel like we're able to amp it up and push it as far as getting more quality reps. And we're a deeper team, so we've taken advantage of that as far as getting more opportunities, getting more reps. It's nice that the players have a day off, and then we'll get back at it Monday. We practice 3 days this week. We'll go 4 next week, and then amp it up to 5 after that. So I'll open it up for questions.
John Hale.
Mark, is there a different challenge for the secondary this year? A year ago, there were all these questions coming into the season. Now they don't have people like us doubting them. They have people like us saying how good they are. What are the differing challenges there?
Yeah, I definitely think that's a fair question because, as a defense, my background as a defensive coordinator and defensive coach and a secondary coach my whole career prior to being the head coach here, I used to talk a lot about that, when you fear in a good way. And I don't mean fear like you're fearful of somebody or fear of competition, but you have to play with that heightened sense of awareness and that competitive nature all the time as a defensive back. The minute you get complacent, you're going to get ripped. And, that's the way I've always coached it have that attention to detail, attention to splits, and not get comfortable. You can't get comfortable. And I think that's a fair question. I think, they were told how good they've been over the course of the year, but I can promise you there's a lot of depth out there, and we're challenging them every day and pushing them to get better. And we really have some bodies to work with, which is nice. And it's creating a lot of competition for those guys. And, if they don't play at that level, they're going to be over there watching it with me on the bench. So they have to play at a high level, and we're going to continue to push them.
Josh Moore.
Mark, talking about the depth, the NCAA decision, I know there's probably a lot to sort out from that regarding eligibility, but how does that change maybe how you weigh using those younger guys this year when you can, kind of have a play around year, so to speak?
Well, we were going to go into the year, and last year was very uncommon, and once we were down that road with guys, we were very conscientious about wasting a year and maybe playing them in a game 3, 4, 5 reps when it wasn't going to be that big of a factor, or having the ability to redshirt them. And it worked out that way. The new rule with allowing them to play in 4 games last year, and with the new rule this year, it will only help us. But we were also planning on going into the year, with the, we recruited some really good players. And so, I'm not going to hold those guys back. If they can help us, they're going to be out there playing. And I'm impressed with that. I really don't want to single out anybody because I'm really impressed with the whole group, the whole freshman class. So, if they can help us, they'll be in there.
John Clay.
Mark, with everything going on around college football and really colleges right now, North Carolina sent students home. You got Notre Dame, Vanderbilt pause practice. How do you keep your players from hearing all that stuff? Or I'm sure they hear it. How do you keep them focused on the job at hand and not getting too distracted by everything else going on?
Well, it was the last thing I just said, walking off the field, was continue to make good decisions and sacrifice in areas where they can. I think all of us understand that, there's risk in anything we do right now with this virus being the way it is. And whether you go to a grocery store, go to a restaurant, or, go anywhere, you have to be conscious of where you're at, wearing the mask and keeping distance and all that. And I'm pleased with our team. We're not perfect. We're never going to be, but we're going to strive to be that way. And our players are making good decisions. We want once again tested. Do you know how many we tested last week, Tommy?
No, I'm supposed to do those this week. Don't have them yet.
Okay, but we tested a boatload of people last week, and we ended up with 2 players come positive, and then the third was a player that was already removed because of contact tracing, so we ended up with 3. But you know, our players have done a good job, and they got to continue to do that. And you know, I'm not sure I have a good answer to that, other than to be as conscientious as we can, to continue to follow the rules, and you know, it's really away from here when they're off on Saturday night. You know, it's different. Normally in camp we're locked down, and we have them, and we bring them back for meetings, and you know, use up all their time and all that. It's different now that school started. There's people on campus. There's things going on at night, and they got to continue to make good choices and to sacrifice and to be as distant from people as they can from the big groups. And I think that's going to, you know, say a lot over the next couple of weeks with many teams and with many athletes throughout the country.
Nick, Roush.
Mark, your team really prides itself on physicality. But now that there's all these social distancing, did you notice any apprehension from the guys on their first day in pads?
No, I didn't, because the first play of team run, I wasn't too pleased because they ran the ball right down our throat for about 20 yards. And, you know, we have quite a few returning players that are, you know, pretty good players. And in our offense, you know, first play of team run, first play with the pads on, and man, they hit it right downhill on us. So I like to see that from an offensive standpoint. I did not like to see it from a defensive standpoint. But no, I don't see any difference in our players at all as far as practicing.
Who was it that hit him for 20 yards?
It was AJ.
Aaron,
I say 20. It could have been to the house. You know, I need to look at the film. Just walked off the field.
Mark, given the fact you guys are going to play 10 SEC defenses and every drive might not end in the 30-yard line, how important is it to get more consistency from the kicking game this year?
Yeah, I think most definitely. You anticipate close games, and it's extremely important. And we'll continue to monitor that as far as field goals go through camp. But overall, as you know, we were really solid in the kicking game last year. As far as consistency with field goals, we did a good job, and you know, we were very good at times and hit some clutch kicks at times, and you know, others, you know, we need to improve, but that's no different than any position.
Just as a follow-up, do you think that kickers may be at a benefit with less fans in attendance compared to some other positions?
Really hadn't thought of it like that, but I don't think so. I think that pressure is internal, and those guys want to perform for their teammates. So, you know, I really hadn't thought of it, but I would imagine it comes from themselves, and the pressure comes from themselves wanting to perform.
Thank you.
Josh.
Mark, I know. I mean, it's still a ways away before we even can actually, you know, if we get to play games, that's great. But you see the attendance stuff coming out from other schools. And then yesterday, the Derby, they decide that they're not going to have fans. What happens in a situation, or how would you feel about a situation where if, you know, other teams in the league might be able to have fans in the stands, but say for some reason, you know, Kentucky can't?
I'm confident in the governor and in his leadership. You know, I really hope we do. I mean, that would be a severe disadvantage for us if the SEC is having fans and 20%, 25%, 30%, whatever it is, and we're not able to. No, you know, if you're asking me if I'd like it, of course not. But I also will play by the rules that they tell me to play by.
Couple more. Jeff Drummond.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
We've heard a lot about, you know, the first group of offensive linemen all preseason. They're getting a lot of accolades and well deserved. How is the next group of guys kind of stacking up from what you saw in the offseason and in the early days of practice?
Yeah, you know, we really feel good. Quentin Wilson is a guy that is ready to play winning football, or will be by the end of camp. Has really worked hard. Of course, Nasir has been a good player for us. played winning football quite a bit for us. Austin Dotson is getting better, improving. We're bringing Eli Cox along, and then Nick Lewis has made a big jump. He's really changed his body, and he's improved quite a bit. And as you know, he's a giant guy. He's a big man, and got himself in shape and is moving better. So we needed that out of Nick. And of course, Jeremy Flax is a great big human as well, and coming to us from a junior college and getting better. And we expect him to be, make big strides by the end of camp as well. So we're getting some depth there. We'll be good.
All right, two more. John Clay.
Mark, how does Terry Wilson look so far? And do you think pushing the start of the season back to the September 26th is a benefit to him?
I do, John. I do. I just think a couple extra weeks when, he probably felt 100, or close to 100%, maybe a month ago or so, and just have that little extra time. I think it could only help a guy like that. I noticed it. I want to say practice one. Maybe Eddie commented on it or not. I can't remember, but I want to say it was practice one, and I noticed it again today. That he really has a good comfort level in that court in the pocket, and he stepped up in the pocket, delivered the football down the field, threw it really well. But also when he made the decision to pull it down and run, I am really trying to be quick on my whistle, believe me, and I don't want to see him stretch it out and run. But he's pulling it down. And he's like a bolt again, just like he used to be. So when he pulls it down, he can really run and hurt some people, and he has a good feel for that, as you know. You've watched him play. He had a good feel for when to pull it down and scramble and make yards with his legs, and he looks really good early in camp. It's only been 3 practices, but he looks really good.
Nick.
Kind of back to the physicality, you really praised the young guys early. Were there any sort of welcome to the SEC moments for those guys now that they got shoulder pads on?
I'm sure there were. I'll have to watch the tape. It's always fun. The first couple of days, you kind of just got to deal with it and watch that the practices. And of course, it's really fun just to be out there, first of all, and practicing around the guys and getting back to some normality. It's been a lot of fun. And but putting the pads on, you get another level. And so it's exciting to go watch that tape on a Saturday afternoon and see what we did. So I may know a little bit more after watching the tape, but it certainly was physical. And again, we got a good group of young guys. There's some big boys, so it'll be good to go watch that tape.
Josh, did you have one more?
Just real quick, how's Sawyer? I mean, he's obviously coming back, dealing with some arm stuff and trying to, find his place there in the room too, I would think again.
Josh, I'll answer that as best you can. You kind of phased in and out, but Sawyer is Sawyer. Sawyer's a team guy. You don't have to worry about that. He's an older guy. He's got experience. He's been around. He's been with different coaches, different staffs. So he adjusts really well and adapts really well, and he's a guy we can count on. We kind of you know what you're going to get, and he's a good solid player, and depending on what happens with Joey. But I mean, Terry coming back, like I just mentioned, he looks really good. I mean, obviously Joey is a great addition. Bo is exactly who we thought he was. I mean, he is really playing well and looks really comfortable out there. And then you got Sawyer. So it would be nice to go into a year where, we felt like a year ago, the situation there at quarterback or the way it unfolded, but would really be comfortable going into the year with 4 guys that we can count on. So we'll see where that heads, but I like the way they're practicing. It's a good start. We have a lot of work to do, but we'll see. So.
All right, guys. We'll get the players in here in just a few minutes for you.
We'll get the players in here. They tell me on my press conference on Tuesday I was a little tight. I'm used to interacting with you guys, having a little fun. It's a little different sitting in this room with Tony. He was always hovering over my right shoulder here. You know what I mean, making me uptight. So I got to get Tony to back off a little bit. I need to see all your guys' beautiful faces in front of me to liven me up a little bit. I miss you all. Yeah.